I remember having a conversation with my mother in the kitchen in real life and asking her, "Do you believe in Sai Baba?" And she said, "No." And I said, "No, do I." But then for 3 months after that, every single night, Swami appeared in my dream and he talked to me. And I kept thinking, who is this person? I didn't even know if I believed he was God or anything. I didn't know anything about him except that he was haunting my dreams.
Did you ever come to have personal face-to-face interviews with him?
Plenty. Once we went to Puttaparthi, we went for 10 days. He greeted us and he was very fair, he's got a lot of humor. And he had already told Kutumba Rao that, the Sankara family is coming. Put them at the back because they're very noisy people.
Radha Rao lived in England, India, and the United States. As a teenager, at the age of 14, she made an amazing transformation from doubter to believer in holy man Sri Sathya Sai Baba. Welcome to Souljourns and to the intriguing spiritual story of Radha Rao. This interview was recorded in Chicago, Illinois, in the winter of 2016.
Radha Rao, it's a pleasure to be with you today. What brought you to Sai Baba in the first place? Or are you one of those individuals who was born into his fold?
Well, I had a lot of family who were in his fold, but I didn't know about it at that time. When I was 4, my father was sent to work at the High Commission of England. So we grew up in England, then we moved around and finally ended up in Delhi. And then when I was about 14 or so, actually, just after Swami had that sickness in Goa.
Yes.
And
where people thought he wasn't going to come through. Yeah.
And I was reading it and I was sort of scoffing at it. I said, if he's God, what the heck?
Right, exactly.
Why couldn't he have cured himself? Why did he suffer for so long? Then I remember having a conversation with my mother in the kitchen in real life and asking her, "Do you believe in Sai Baba?" And she said, "No." And I said, "No, do I?" Well, 3 days exactly after that conversation with my mother, in the dream, I was having the same conversation with Mom, but this time I was looking at a picture of Lord Venkateswara, who is the deity of Tirupati, and he turned into Baba. And I remember telling my mother that, do you believe in Swami? And she said, no, just like she did 3 days ago. But I changed my response. And I said, I'm beginning to believe in him.
Only because of that dream?
Yeah, and it was all in the dream.
Okay.
And then I got up in the morning and I said, that's strange. I don't believe in this person. But then
So why did I have this dream?
Right. Yeah. And what do you mean I believe in him? Why did I say that? But then for 3 months after that, every single night, Swami appeared in my dream and he talked to me.
Did you think that was a little different, a little strange?
Right, it was. And I kept thinking, who is this person? At that time, I had heard about him. I knew a couple of uncles who had gone on my mother's side. So I didn't know all this at this time. It was only later on. But after 3 months, I had to go to my hometown, my father's hometown, which is Guntur. And I went there, and my aunt and uncle were going to Puttaparthi. So I went to them. This was in the early 60s,
okay.
65, 66. And then I was so curious. I said, this person is haunting my dreams. So I would like to go and see this person. So I tagged along with my uncle and aunt.
You didn't have any expectations? You just had curiosity?
I didn't even know if I believed he was God or anything. I didn't know anything about him except that he was haunting my dreams. And I went to on the trip with my uncle and aunt, and it was difficult. We had to wait at a train station. I was a spoiled kid, and I didn't like all this struggles that we had to go through. We had to go to Guntakal, then take a bullock cart from Dharmavaram.
So this is back more than a couple of dozen years. This is back about how many years?
In 66, 67.
Okay. That's when it was very primitive in Puttaparthi back then.
Right. And then there was a very few little transportation. So we had to go on a bullock cart, and there was this everybody had to pile on luggage because in that time you really didn't get a lot of food or anything. You carried
Very
a lot of
uncomfortable,
things with
long,
you.
hot ride.
And they put me on top because I was the youngest. Every time that bullock cart would go over a little hill or a little bump, down fell the luggage and down fell me.
With the
I
luggage.
wasn't at all happy about it. And then I finally reached Puttaparthi and Swami was giving a darshan. And actually my first impression was, this is the person who's in my dreams. I wasn't really impressed. He was giving you a darshan. I'm sorry, I was not one of those people who said, oh, I've come to God. It took me a while. So then I went there and Swami, they told me to go and sit in the darshan line. And I was right where near Sai Gita was.
The elephant.
And Swami came for the darshan, but he would come to Sai Gita and then avoid the row I was in. I was in the front row and then there was a Krishna idol there.
He wasn't going to give you
around
any
to that
attention.
Krishna and he avoided me for 3 days. And my cousins came and gave me a book, Satyam Sivam Sundaram, Part 1. So I was reading the book during those 3 days. And that sort of developed a yearning in myself, saying, I've got to really meet this person. I don't like it that he's walking away from him. That yearning was so strong that at the end of the 3rd day, when Swami avoided me, I couldn't take it. In spite of volunteers saying anything, I ran. At that time, the darshan line was around the building.
You ran over to him?
No, I went.
You left?
On the ladies' side, I ran. Swami ignored me and went around to the men's side and then to the back of the Nilayam. I couldn't take it. I don't even remember volunteers shouting at me. I just raced and bumped into Swami.
You bumped into
I
him?
ran right into Swami. And Swami spoke to me in Hindi, even though I'm a Telugu. And I went and I fell at Swami's feet. And I kept asking him for blessings. And I remember Swami taking the book from me. But after that, I don't know what happened. I touched his feet and I sort of, lost myself. And later on, people told me that he had scolded the volunteers for
allowing you to...
for not trying to prevent me from going.
Oh, I see. He wanted you to
He
have
said,
access to
she's
him.
mine, leave. But that's what they told me afterwards.
Well, I would believe them. I'm
So
sure
then
they do.
after I came to, Swami sort of patted my head and he said, bless you, you are always mine. And then he went away and I looked at the book and Swami had written with blessings from Sri Sathya Sai Baba
Oh, wonderful.
and gave it to me. That was my first...
So from 1968 to 2017, which begins tomorrow, your faith has been only building with Sai Baba.
Right, it's been always a struggle, right?
Yeah.
You go in between waves.
Sure.
You have a lot of experiences. Swami has performed miracles on me. And I've had, the first few years after having met him, I just spent time with him. I did not go back to the physical world,
Oh, you stayed there. You didn't go back to your...
No, it was funny because Swami went wherever I was. Like I went to Guntur, Swami sent Dr. Bhagavantam there, but then I went to Delhi and Swami went to Delhi. So it was like...
Maybe he was following you.
I don't know, but he actually had a lot of... I think he really had to knock my head.
I want to go back to the first encounter that you had with Baba in dream form, when he would come to you every night for 3 months and talk to you. I didn't miss that part. Do you remember anything he said to you back then?
Yes, he
Very
did. I was pretty much against the caste system, having grown up in England.
Was that
and
still legal
Europe.
back then? It might have been still legal in India, the caste
It
system.
was, but you know what? We were in a Brahmin family, and our family was pretty orthodox.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of that caste feeling. They tell you, we're Brahmins
sure.
and all, and I didn't really believe
So what
in
did
it.
Baba tell you about that?
And then so Swami would told me to read page 115 of Gita Vahini.
He gave you the page number?
Yeah.
In the dream?
Right, and I didn't even know about the book. I didn't know what Gita Vahini
That should have
was.
sealed the deal with you and Baba right then and there, having a dream where the book you never heard of and the page number and the subject.
Right, and then he explained to me about the caste system, and then and told me the society is structured so such that each one has a task, and that's how the world revolves. Does not mean one is superior to the other, and it's all, something that man has created. But, the God, Lord doesn't do anything wrong. He has done it with a purpose, and as long as the wheel goes smooth, then a society will function. The minute people start thinking that one is better than the other, or this task is not mine, then chaos starts.
I'm glad I asked you the question, because I'm really impressed that you're able to remember the contents of a dream so well from so many decades ago.
It's surprising. Some of the incidents, some of the experiences are so vivid in your dreams or in real life, and Swami has talked to us. And Swami has talked to us many times.
Did you ever come to have personal face-to-face interviews with him?
Plenty.
Plenty.
Yeah, we were lucky. We were lucky enough that Swami would call us, every other day sometimes. Once we went to Puttaparthi, we went for 10 days, and Swami actually greeted us. And he was very fair, he's got a lot of humor. And he had already told Kutumba Rao that, the Sankara family is coming. Put them at the back because they're very noisy people. And also make sure that there are strings for the clothes. Because the first thing they'll do is to go and wash the clothes. So he knew. So, and then at that time, we had gone for 10 days, and Swami refused to send us. So we kept on going, and there was no money at that time, no banks and all. Yeah. So we would tell Swami, we have to go, we don't have any money.
Our money's run out.
Swami would create money for us.
Money.
But the hard part is, nobody wanted to spend the money that Swami created. And we had a lot of fun. Swami would call us. My cousins were told to go upstairs. They never had to wait to inline.
That's because they weren't as noisy as you.
No, we were all noisy. And Swami would show his omnipresence in conversations that we've had here far away. And the next day he would tell us about it. And one incident, if I may share it, is that my cousin and I were fighting. His name is Shyam, and my name is Radha. And we were both fighting as to whose name was sung more in bhajans. That's the spiritual level we were at, really low. And then we went to the mandir.
Aren't we all at that level?
We went to the mandir, the bhajan hall, and so Swami that evening came and stood between us, and we sort of lost count. I mean, Swami's presence is so energetic, you sort of get lost in his power. Yeah. But we came out, but both of us didn't want to admit that we had lost count. Okay? So we kept telling each other that, I got it. The argument continued. The next day, Swami called us for an interview. And in the interview, after talking to us for quite a while, he suddenly turned and said, you know what these two were doing yesterday in the bhajan?
They were competing for attention.
And he said, each one was looking to see whose name was sung more. There was no devotion.
Radha was sung 12 times and Shyam was sung.
And then he said, all names are mine. I'm singing, everybody's singing your name all the time.
So you two hadn't told him that, apparently. No. He just knew it because
there were so many of those incidents that it was amazing. I can go on forever of how he...
Well, I wish we had time forever, so I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm going to give you all of 6 seconds to think about an episode, an experience, an interview, or something connected to Baba that touched you deeply that you would like to share with us now. It could be funny, humorous, it could be serious, it could be something, a lesson maybe you're still working on. It could be anything.
I think, this is not as a personal experience with Swami. I think what hit me most was after 22 years of working in an airline company, I joined as a contractor in Ace Hardware.
Ace Hardware store?
Right.
I say that because I was raised in my dad's hardware store. From airlines a couple of decades to a hardware store.
Right, the culture of the two companies. It was an Ace Hardware Corporation, and I was asked to, it was they were doing 3-day turnaround, and it was 24 by 7 for the e-commerce.
Okay.
And they said, here's your challenge, go and see what we have to do it. So as a part of that, I had to go to all the warehouses. And I hated it because they were so rough and tough. It wasn't like the culture of the airline company. So I was, the whole time I was driving to Princeton, Illinois, I was crying and talking to Swami and saying, why did you put me through this? Why did you put me through it?
Of course, you know the answer. He put you through everything for your highest good, which he doesn't always announce to you early.
Right, and then as soon as I walked into that company, and it was written A's, attitude changes everything. But it was a lesson that Swami taught. So to me, the belief that Swami is omnipresent, omniscient, and giving you knowledge, your guidance at every step of the way is very evident even in that small lesson that he gave me.
Oh, absolutely.
Unless you change your attitude, you're not going to get that happiness that I'm talking about.
Swami's over your shoulder right now. I can't tell you how fascinating this is. If I had the time right now, I'm sure we could burn up 2 hours of video hearing your stories. So we'll have to resume it when we come back another time.
That is fine. I told you right from the beginning, I don't know where to stop.
Radha Rao, thank you very much, Sai Ram.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.